Have you ever seen family or whoever put soda in like meat whenever they're marinating?
Yeah, I actually know there's like some dishes where they add a coconut soda. It's called Coco
Oh,
Rico.
that's cool.
It's like a Puerto Rican coconut soda, I believe.
Hmm.
Yeah, and people would add it to like tenderize the meat or just add some other type of flavor. I
Hmm.
don't know. We don't eat meat, so we're just talking out our ass.
Yeah. Speaking of ass eating, coconut juice. This is a new segment for us.
Yes, yes. Tell the people what coconut juice is, Carla.
Yeah, so coconut juice is essentially a mini episode. So as you can see, Jasmine and I are in two separate areas right now. She's in the closet. I'm in the, I'm just kidding. She's in LA. I'm in the Bay, and we wanted to keep pushing out episodes. If you are familiar with cracking the coconut at all, you'll know that our episodes, we put a good amount of production quality into it, but we still wanted to push out episodes when we are separated. And so we came up with this concept called coconut juice. So it's a mini
Yeah.
episode. It's going to be no more than 25, 30 minutes, maybe. That's pushing it. And we're just going to basically pick a topic and talk out of our ass, or ass will be talking. So yeah, it's a lot of ass play today.
A lot of ass mentioning.
So what the fuck are we talking about today, Jazz?
What the fuck are we talking about? So, as we all know, the past week or so, the new trailer or teaser for The Little Mermaid came out.
Yes.
And it is starring Miss Halle Bailey.
Yes.
And, I've been following the Bailey sisters for a while now. I used to watch them a lot on Grownish.
Mm-hmm.
And, they've had years and years of a career in Hollywood, in movies and music.
So Little Mermaid trailer came out. I mean, it was announced, I want to say maybe a year ago, year and a half ago, that Halle was announced to play Ariel, but at the D23 Expo in Anaheim, it's basically this huge Disney expo where they talk about all things Disney. So they shared what the timeline of the next Disney movies are, and they shared the trailer to the new Little Mermaid movie. And it is such a simple trailer. I think it's only like 15, 20 seconds. And at the very end, you see Halle as Ariel singing Part of Your World. And it's so majestic. And I'm so excited to see the movie. I am obsessed. I loved Little Mermaid growing up. I will always be a mermaid. So I love it.
Yeah, I grew up watching The Little Mermaid. I had the Little Mermaid sheets set in my twin bed. I shared with you that. And, a lot of great songs. It's definitely one of the, Disney movies we all grew up watching. And for me, Little Mermaid wasn't my favorite, but I did like the music and the different characters in the movie. Ursula scared the shit out of me. She still does.
Yeah.
It's crazy how so many people are so upset
I know
that Miss Halle, beautiful, Bailey, talented, is Ariel.
I love watching the TikTok videos that are coming up on my For You page of little Black girls watching the trailer for the very first time and them getting so excited and just so filled with so much joy and inspiration seeing someone that looks like them on this huge Disney film. And I think that's beautiful. And like, who are you to try to like take away that happiness from all these like little Black girls?
Yeah, definitely. My niece, she's 5 now. And she has, like light brown hair. So I don't know if she saw the trailer yet. But, when I see her this weekend, I'm going to play it for her. And she really loves The Little Mermaid right now. She always sings the songs.
Yep.
And, she does this thing where she crosses her legs and she does like mermaid feet. It's really cute. And I feel like this is such an important moment for her as a young mixed child, and when I was growing up, like I said, it wasn't really my favorite. And when I saw Ariel and she had red hair, I would think, oh, she's a redhead.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really attracted to redhead people because I don't have red hair. I'm not light skinned. I'm brown. I have black hair. So it would be really interesting down the line to just see how this movie is going to affect her as she watches it. Right. Knowing that she's seen the original Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
And then as she gets older, when I'm able to have a conversation with her and ask her, like, what do you think about it? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what did it make you feel? Even if she might not even remember her first thoughts because she's 5, and I asked her like 2 years from now,
Yeah.
you're always going to remember what you felt. So she could say so many words like, oh, I was so happy. I was excited. I was surprised,
Mm-hmm.
anything.
I definitely feel like your niece is going to have a bunch of different emotions and reactions, and it's going to change depending on the age you ask her. So you ask her next year, she'll probably say, I was happy, it was cool, it was exciting, I love Little Mermaid. But then if you ask her again, say when she's 16 and she's gotten a little bit of a different grasp on the world and the way the world moves, and how just throughout the timeline of Disney movies, since Disney has been creating movies, there's been a lack of Black Disney princesses on on the big screen. And so when she's older, maybe 16, 17, she'll have a different feeling, like, oh, when I was younger, I got to witness this, and I think that's really cool, and I have a newfound appreciation for that. So there's so many different things. And the thing about Ariel and Halle playing Ariel is that a lot of people are really upset because it's taking away from the story. The thing about Halle playing Ariel and her being a Black woman, I feel like any non-white person could play Ariel, because culture doesn't play an integral part of the story. So whether Halle was a Mexican person, an Asian, whatever it may be, culture is not a driving force in the plot line. It does not drive the characters. It has nothing to do with the story. It's literally, a story about a mermaid falling in love with a human.
Exactly. And also all Ariel's sisters were mixed.
Yeah.
With different colors or did different hair, different skin tones. And I thought that was kind of not weird when I was growing up, but I definitely noticed that. So I'm going to be interested to see how her sisters are portrayed in this new film.
A lot of racists, they use Princess and the Frog as like a counter argument, and they say, well, what if we made Tiana white? And the thing about that is that it doesn't make sense, and that argument's basically stupid, because Tiana, being a Black woman, plays a huge part in the story, and it's what drives Princess and the Frog forward. She's a Black woman in the 1920s, and she's trying to thrive. Even just her friendship with, what's her name, the white girl that she's like best friends with, that she grew up with, that the mom makes dresses for, like just that divide. And that goes for like a lot of other films too, like Mulan, Moana, Turning Red, even. Like culture drives those films. So it wouldn't make sense if white people played Mulan.
So there was this video I saw on TikTok the other day about this woman, and she was basically calling out those haters, saying there's been many roles where white people got the job over that person of color. So whether it be an Asian role, a Black role, even a role where there was a trans person, but they're played by a cis man. It wasn't like a trans actor. And there's no, in the history of acting in Hollywood, there's no end to those examples of a white person taking a role of a person of color, a person of culture. And so that argument is pretty much squashed. And the thing is, there's been so many conversations of how, say, for example, that one Scarlett Johansson film where she played an Asian character, or what is it, The Last Airbender?
Oh my gosh. Oh, you just triggered me. Last Airbender. So I loved watching Avatar Last Airbender. Like, it's one of the best cartoons ever. Even Legend of Korra is amazing. They butchered that film. They butchered the fuck out of it.
And those types of stories are so beloved in the universe of people who enjoy those type of genres. And for them to make it white, it offended a lot of people, and not just people of color, people of culture. They offended even white fans, because that's not the story. That is not the face of these characters.
Yeah.
So this isn't the first time. So anybody who has that lame ass excuse or opinion of this isn't right, like, you're just a hater. And the thing is, Halle Bailey, she was chosen by Disney to play Ariel. She wasn't put there just because they wanted to be politically correct or give Black people a chance. They put her there because she fucking earned that shit.
Yep. And the director even said Halle was the first one to audition, and she set the bar up so high that anyone else who auditioned after her couldn't hit that bar. So obviously, like, the director was like, no one else can like match that.
No one else is Ariel.
Yeah, no one else is Ariel. We're picking Halle. And then the original Ariel, who voiced it in the cartoon, even like co-signed Halle as Ariel, was like, no, she's Ariel. And I don't know, I just feel like white people are so weird. And really, like, literally, there's been so many princesses. How many princesses that are white? Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty,
Snow freaking White.
Yeah, Snow White.
Snow White. It's in the name.
Tangled. Princess and the Frog wasn't a movie until, like, I think it came out, in 2009? Maybe?
Really?
Yeah, it came out in 2009, I believe. And Snow White was the first Disney princess film to come out. And I think that came out in 1952. So from 1952 to 2009, there's been so many movies, and not one of those princesses were Black until Princess and the Frog. And then on top of that, Tiana is a frog, like, for most of the movie.
For the most of the movie, yeah.
And it's crazy. So one of my favorite movies of all time / favorite Cinderella adaptation is the one with Brandy. And Whitney Houston is in it, and Whoopi Goldberg's in it. And it's like, if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest it. It's like one of the best Cinderella adaptations. It came out in 1997, 1998. Brandy plays Cinderella. Also, Filipino man plays the prince.
Yes.
Also, so it's the music's awesome. It's just so bright and colorful, and it's great. So
growing up, I wasn't really into princesses, nothing like that. I wasn't looking to wear a dress and a tiara. That was just not my style. However, when it came to female characters, or just characters in general that I felt drawn to, my favorite Disney character is Simba. I love Nala. I love Nairobi. Can't say her name. Nairobi. I just loved those characters, and they weren't white. They were lions, and they're from Africa.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, the only real, like, human princess that I really liked was Princess Jasmine. And it wasn't because we have the same name. Like, I honestly never saw it that way, but it was because she was a brown girl. She was a brown princess. All these other princesses I didn't feel connected to, and I didn't care for, and even as a kid, when you think about it, how it, there was lack of brown in color. It's kind of weird. Like you got to think in your head, like, why don't I see myself?
Yeah.
But then no one is telling you that. No one is telling you anything about that. You're just watching the content, and at that point in time, no one was caring about us to see ourselves.
Yeah. You know how some people can get desensitized to certain content? Say if they watch a lot of violence, they might become desensitized to violent content. So growing up, since we didn't see a lot of characters who looked like us, and a lot of the media that we would consume, whether that was books, TV, movies, whatever it may be, was very white centric. I feel like a lot of us got desensitized, in a sense, to seeing white people. That just became the norm, because we never saw ourselves until we got a little older and we started to have a different grasp and perspective of the world. And we're like, you know what? I never got to have that type of representation. And representation is so important. And I think that's why also Filipinos, like, you know, Cracking the Coconut Filipino American podcast. So like, what does Halle Bailey have
Halle
to
Berry
do?
too.
Yeah. What does Halle Bailey playing Ariel in the new Little Mermaid film? What does a Black woman have to do with, you know, our culture? How does this come back to being Filipino? Well, you know, at the bottom line, it's all about representation and accurate representation at that. You know, like we started this podcast after 4 white dudes wanted to start a wine bar called Barcada, and it had nothing to do with Filipino people, Filipino culture. It was appropriation, not representation. I mean, appropriation, not appreciation. And it wasn't an accurate representation of the Filipino people and its community and the culture. And I feel like if we let our culture continue to be whitewashed, then it's like, how else will our community be colonized in different ways? Because it's like, it starts off with taking a word, or it starts off with no representation. And then after that, we get completely wiped off. You know, the accessibility of learning other Filipino languages besides Tagalog is very hard. Representation can ignite an entire generation and ignite an entire community to do so much.
Yeah. A lot of the haters might not see this as significant, but it's very significant to a bunch of people, because before, you know, not even very long ago, we were the sidekicks, the background. But now that we're in the forefront, we get the shine.
Yeah.
But those haters need to also understand that in addition to us getting that shine, it allows them the opportunity to kind of relive and see the story in another way, like a readaptation of the original. And nobody wants the same shit. It's boring.
Yeah.
You know, so I just don't understand too why people don't like change.
Yeah.
And always want the same consistency of stories, of culture, of, you know, styles, of, you know, like, I just don't understand why you'd want to live in a world that's the same all the time. This isn't no damn Pleasantville.
Like, sometimes I sit there and I think about films that have, say, like a white cast, and I think about how different those stories would be if the person was a person of color. For example, Twilight. If Bella were a Filipino woman, you know that part in the second Twilight film / book where after Edward breaks up with her, she's like sitting on her ass for like 5 months being unproductive. If Bella were a Filipino woman, there was no way she'd be sitting on her butt, because her mom or her dad would go into her room and be like, Anak, get up. What are you doing? Like, clean your room, bathe, you stinky. You know, like there would be no way she'd be just sitting there for months, just sitting on her butt.
Yeah.
Like, if she were a Filipino woman, she would have to force herself to rise above that hurt and that heartbreak and continue moving forward. She would have to continue going to school and studying. She would have to continue doing so much. Like, there's no way she would be sitting on her butt all day if she were a Filipino woman.
Yeah, no way. And that's the thing too. Like, a Filipino kid or like a Mexican kid is going to look at those stories and be like, what's wrong with them? Or maybe think like, well, why do I have to do it? Bella was sitting on her ass all day, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a weird cultural, like, integration, non-integration. That's pretty funny though.
Yeah, it's, you know, I think about it like, you know, because I watch a lot of films and TV shows, and I always wonder, okay, like, if this character was Filipino and not white, how much would the plotline change? Because if you think about it, in real life, culture is what moves people. It's kind of what it is, what it's how people move in a way throughout life based on culture. Like, for example, if we go to someone's house, if I go to someone's house that's, say, not Filipino or whoever, I always ask, is this a no shoes household? Because I grew up, you always take off your shoes, when you get to the front of the door, you never
Yeah.
bring dirty shoes inside the house. So I always ask. It's a respect thing. Or if someone comes over, you're always giving them food. You're offering them something that's, very prevalent in the Filipino culture. And so it kind of dictates the way we step forward into life. Culture does. And so it would make sense within movies and characters that culture would also continue to push you forward.
Yeah. Man, see, and that goes into a realm that's more complicated because there's clearly no progression.
Mm-hmm.
Or a very delayed progression in that department.
Yeah.
And, so I'm all about it. The quote unquote controversy, these conversations, I'm all about it. And I'm sure Halle Bailey and Disney knew that coming into this, when we release this teaser, we got to prep for all the stuff that's coming. We know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But, keep pushing those buttons. So shout out to Disney for putting Halle Bailey on and somebody of color. Someone who's very, very talented. It's not easy to be a Disney singer. Not everybody has it. It sucks that we always have to go through these struggles of, proving to people that we belong. Mm-hmm. But fuck it. We're in these positions and we're doing it. So if people are going to hate, they're going to hate. We'll just keep on trucking, man.
For any Filipinos that are unsure about Halle playing the Little Mermaid, again, it all comes back down to representation. And I know there's a lot of Filipinos out there that weren't particularly happy with Jo Koy's movie. They thought it sucked. And so, because the representation wasn't accurate and it was an obnoxious portrayal of Filipino people. And a lot of people are very upset about that. And so if we want to see films with Filipino people in there, it's kind of letting the world know that we are demanding a supply of representation, because it doesn't feel good that when you're watching these films, especially Disney, and Disney is a huge, huge, huge corporation that gets millions of dollars in the box office whenever they release a new film. It doesn't feel good that time after time after time, these princesses that we look up to, that we can dress up as, our kids can dress up as, are always white. It's not fair. It's not cute because there's princesses everywhere and anyone can be a princess. I'm a princess.
She's a princess. She says it all the time.
I do.
I was in Disneyland earlier in the week, and you see all the little girls or all the little kids, whoever wants to dress up in a princess costume, and you see, little white kids wearing a Moana costume, wearing a Mirabelle costume from Encanto. You see them wearing Princess and the Frog. But no one's telling them they can't wear it. Yeah. Those little girls, those little kids choose to wear it because they like it. They just see it as someone they're drawn to, and they enjoy. They maybe want to be, or see parts of that character that they want to be, or that they admire. And I'm hoping that they're going to wake up and grow up to be an adult that's more open-minded. And shout out to the parents for letting them wear that,
Yeah. It's funny. So one last thing before we wrap it up, I saw this TikTok video of these 3 little white kids watching the new Little Mermaid trailer. And the question that they had, it had nothing to do with Halle or anything like that. It was more so where are her goggles? Because she was underwater.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yo.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one TikTok where the little girl's watching? She's a little white girl. And she's I kind of like, is that Whitney Houston?
Yes. Oh my gosh. She was she was looking at it and she was so confused, and she kept looking at her mom, was like, is that Whitney Houston?
I did not expect that.
Yeah. One of the best reactions ever. Yeah. And it just goes to show that prejudice and racism is something that is taught.
Yes.
It's something that you are taught, you are not born it. And so, clearly those parents are doing a good job of making sure that their little white kids don't grow up to be little shits. So
Ooh.
Good job, parents.
Closing. Little Mermaid, I can't wait for it to come out. I wish it was not May 2023, but we get a brown Little Mermaid, a brown Ariel.
Yay! I love it. Okay, if you like this mini episode, we'll definitely be having more of these. It's kind of just like a talking out of our ass type of thing, but we will have like one specific topic. And if you like whatever we're talking about and you want us to expand and have like a full-fledged episode about it, then definitely let us know, shoot us a DM, put it in the comments, whatever. Definitely share. Follow us on all of our social media. We're at Cracking the Coconut on Facebook and Instagram, at Cracking the Coco on Twitter and TikTok. We also have a website, crackingthecoconut.com. And yeah, I think, we're good.
I think we're good.
Sick, bro.
Coconut juice.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Coconut juice. Hey, you ever seen that TikTok where the girl's like, what she say? She's like, period, period, period. And she's like, her tongue is like hella period, and she's like, period, period.
Yeah.
And she's hella offbeat.